Hello, welcome to the Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Kate Harper, the 61st District in Montgomery County. In our congested area, getting from point A to point B can often be a challenge, particularly for people who don't drive. Fortunately, we have great partners who serve our community. One of them is TransNet, founded in 1980, which delivers a safe and reliable ride to many groups of people. Disabled people, seniors, job commuters, and even young people going to school or camp have all been served by TransNet. Here to discuss who can take advantage of TransNet's low-cost transportation services is Sue Kopystecki, the Executive Director. Thanks for joining me today, Susan.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, as I start my videos, usually I ask my guests, where'd you grow up? How'd you get here? What brought you to wherever you are today, which is Executive Director of TransNet. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Montgomery County. I grew up in Limerick Township and still live there with my husband. About 31 years ago, I found something that just was great, and that was a career in transportation. I started out in a small local transportation company. I realized that it was my passion. Transportation management, operations, I just enjoy it. And about 22 years ago, I took a position with TransNet. I've had the opportunity there to work through all phases of transportation.
Wow, see it grow.
And see it grow. You know, being involved in risk management and finance and information systems and all of those things, all of those components that go into a quality transportation service.
Okay, great. So now we're going to talk about TransNet. And, you know, I have a lot of people who come to my office because maybe they got a letter from PennDOT saying that they shouldn't be driving, or they have to be tested again and they're afraid they'll flunk the test, or whatever, and they're absolutely panicked because in the burbs, and Limerick is a great example, as is Whitpain or Lower Gwinnett, in the burbs, if you don't drive, you're pretty isolated.
Yes.
We have a little public transit, you know, in terms of buses, and we do have trains if you want to go to the city.
Right.
But if you need to get to the doctor's office or the hairdressers or something like that, you know, your options are kind of limited. So how does TransNet help with that?
TransNet has a wide range of services that are available to residents of Montgomery County. We are the shared ride coordinator for the Senior Citizen Shared Ride Program for the state of Pennsylvania. It's funded through the Pennsylvania State Lottery, and it offers a reduced fare transportation service for senior citizens within their communities.
So what are we talking about? Little buses running around picking people up? Can they pick them up at their house, or?
It's door-to-door service.
Wow.
There are certain requirements. Reservations need to be made a day in advance, and that is part of the regulation of the program. But people can make reservations to go to the hairdressers. They can go to the doctors. They can go to the grocery store, to the mall.
Really, it doesn't have to be a medical appointment or something like that?
There is not a restriction on the purpose of the trip.
Wow.
So, and
is there a restriction on income?
For the Senior Citizen Shared Ride Program, there is not. And the Persons with Disabilities Program, which is also funded through PennDOT, through lottery, there are no restrictions on income levels or purposes.
Okay, so if you need to go to the hairdresser and get your hair cut, and the thought of getting a taxi, if you could find a taxi, is impossible, and you're a little nervous about Uber or any of those things because you're not really tech savvy, or because you don't want people to know where you live, or you don't trust the driver for whatever reason.
Right.
All they have to do is make a reservation?
They need to register with TransNet. The only restriction that there is on the shared ride or the PWD services is an age restriction. So
how old do I have to be?
You have to be, for the Senior Citizen Shared Ride Program, you need to be 65 years of age or older. And for persons with disabilities, that would be for anyone between the ages of 18 and 64 with a disability that falls within the ADA definition of disability.
Sure. I actually have an adult disabled sister who lives with me, and she has no way to get around because she doesn't drive, you know?
Right.
And so TransNet would help her. Now, you register first. How do you do that? Do you have to have a computer to do that?
You don't. Of course you can. You can register. Our registration forms are on our website at www.suburbantransit.org.
And we're going to throw that up on the screen so people can see it.
.org.
Okay, .org. Okay,
Yes.
great.
And if someone does not have a computer or does not want to do it electronically, they can register by calling our office at 215-542-RIDE.
Okay, say that again.
It's 215-542-RIDE, RIDE.
Okay, so that's pretty easy. So they register, and then when the time comes that they need a shared ride, they get a reservation at least one day in advance.
Correct. They can make a schedule a reservation up to 14 days in advance,
Okay.
but at a minimum 1 day in advance. Our reservation lines are open between 7:30 and 3:30 Monday.
7:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m.
3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and any reservations for service on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday must be made on Friday by 3:30.
Okay. So you can be ready, of course.
Correct. So they make a reservation, can schedule a reservation. We have a centralized call center in our office in Bluebell, and consumers can call between those hours, schedule one ride. They can schedule a ride for the next month if they know what their schedule is and where they want to go. We also offer the opportunity to schedule subscription service, which is for a consumer who maybe needs to go to work and they go 5 days a week or 3 days a week. They can make one phone call to us to schedule that service, and we will show up on that schedule.
Wow.
So that simplifies it even more for some people, especially with the PWD program. We transport a lot of consumers through that program
What's
to work.
PWD?
I'm sorry, persons with disabilities.
Okay.
And that's for the group 18 to 64.
Because a lot of those folks do have jobs.
They have jobs,
Okay.
and they can schedule a trip. They can call one time to schedule the trip, and then they only have to call if they're going to cancel one.
Now, does the shared ride drop them off, say at the hairdresser, and then come back and pick them up, or how's that work? Or they have 2 trips they got to schedule?
They would schedule 2 trips,
Okay.
the trip going and the return trip. The return trip can be handled either as a time call, so
What's a
they
time call?
they can specify the time that they want us to return and take them home,
Okay.
or they can schedule it as a will call, meaning that when they're finished their appointment, they'll call our reservation or our call center and say, I'm ready to go home, in which case we'll then enter the trip and send a vehicle for them. So,
Okay, so if you're going to your hairdresser and you know it always takes an hour, you can schedule your coming and going 2 separate trips 1 hour apart, right?
yes.
If you're going to your doctor and you know he's always late, you might want to schedule the trip there and do a will call on the other end.
Correct.
Okay, so that doesn't sound too hard. How about paying for it? How do you pay for the ride?
The shared ride, senior citizen shared ride program, and the persons with disabilities program, the consumer would pay a portion of the fare, a copay, which is 15% of the cost.
Typically, what are we talking about? They're running around
We're
Montgomery
talking
County.
about anywhere from $3.45 to $7.50,
Okay.
depending on
How far?
how far they're traveling.
That
Yes,
doesn't sound too bad. Do they pay in cash?
they typically will pay in cash. Yes.
Okay. So they make the appointment. Let's just say it's me. Let's say I'm a little bit older. I make an appointment to go get my hair done, and I make the appointment coming and going because I know it usually takes me an hour. Okay, fine. Then what happens the day of? Do I call then, or do I just wait at my house, or how does that work?
The vehicle will arrive anywhere from 15 minutes before to, half an hour before to a half an hour after the requested time. So if someone's requesting a ride at 9 o'clock, the vehicle could arrive anywhere between 8:30 and 9:30.
So if my appointment was 9 o'clock, I'd have to schedule the vehicle to come earlier.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's the Senior Citizen Shared Ride Program is what it's called, and it is a shared ride system.
So you group people who have area transportation needs in a certain area on that day at that time.
Correct.
And you have a little van or something pick them up?
We operate primarily 14-passenger minibuses.
Okay.
We do have sedans. We do have minivans in our fleet as well. We have a fleet of over 300 vehicles throughout the county. So
wow. Okay.
there are a lot of vehicles operating on a daily basis. But a consumer would schedule their rides, and then they'll be given a window. And basically that window is a 15-minute before or after. So they'll be told at the time of their reservation that they'll be picked up between, let's say, 8:45 a.m. and 9:15.
Okay.
And that would be based on a 9 o'clock request.
Okay.
So the negotiation window, it's a little more confusing. It goes into the half an hour on either side. But basically, there's a 15-minute window where the consumer needs to be prepared to leave.
So it would take a little longer than if you could drive yourself.
Yes, it will.
Okay, but you can't, so you got to do what you got to do, I think, is how that works.
Right. And it's a valuable service. There are so many consumers that they truly need this service, and it helps them to remain independent. They don't have to rely on others to take them to their appointments or that sort of thing. So it does help to keep them the quality of life, and helps to keep them independent.
And it gives them a little more control than calling a succession of relatives or neighbors to give me a ride.
Yes, yes.
So they can schedule an appointment knowing they can get there. They just have to call TransNet or whatever and do it. Now, I know a few months ago, maybe a year now, maybe longer, I forget, you guys went to a computerized system and there was some angst there for a while, but now it seems to be working.
It is wonderful. We were selected in 2012, we were selected as a pilot program for the statewide software, automated scheduling software, which is called EcoLane. And at that point, we had to go to a centralized reservation system. There were a lot of changes that were happening. So our consumers were used to calling their local transportation provider for their transportation requests. And we, through this system, needed to go to the centralized call center. And in the beginning, it wasn't quite as personal as our consumers were used to. But over a period of time, and working through the glitches in the system and how to run efficiently with our new scheduling software, things they're great.
Okay, good.
Things are going well, and
overall, the system should be operating more efficiently.
it is
Grouping the same people in the same areas going at the same time together.
It is, and everything is real time. So all of our vehicles all of our drivers are equipped with tablets. So everything that's happening from 1 minute to the next, we are able to see. We know exactly where the vehicles are. We know if they're running late on a particular route. Sometimes caused by traffic or other things. We were able to see that right away.
But from the consumer's point of view, they make the phone call or they key it in when they want to come and go, and your computer system schedules the drivers, the bus or the minibus or whatever to make it work.
Correct.
Okay,
and then
good.
we have the ability to monitor that and make manual changes if we need to for efficiency purposes.
Okay, so ultimately, a person making a reservation with TransNet, it's a little bit similar to figuring out which train will get you downtown in time for the show.
Correct.
You have to allow some time at both ends, but it's possible to do it that way once you get used to how it works.
Yes.
Okay. So hold that thought,
Okay.
because we're going to take a quick break, and Legislative Report will return in just a moment. We're talking to Sue about TransNet and how people who don't drive in the burbs can get out of the house and go places. Stay with us.
Did you know that Act 16 of 1999 honors one of the greatest leaders in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives? The Matthew J. Ryan Legislative Office Building, once known as the Capitol Annex, is located next to the main Capitol building and honors the late Speaker of the House, Matthew J. Ryan. Those who visit this building will observe the magnificent architectural designs providing eloquence and grandeur to the building. Known as one of the greatest members in the history of the Pennsylvania State House, Matthew Ryan started his career in the legislature in 1963 and was elected Speaker in 1981. His charisma and knowledge will forever be reflected in the building now named after this great legislative leader. Now you know.
Did you know that Violet Oakley was the first female artist to receive a large commission for artwork done in a United States Capitol building? In 1902, Joseph Houston, designer and architect for the 3rd Harrisburg Capitol building, commissioned Violet Oakley to paint murals for the governor's reception room. He believed that Oakley's contribution would add interest to the building and act as an encouragement of women of the state. Prior to beginning her work for the Capitol, Oakley set out to England to conduct research for her murals. Upon return, she decided to center her artwork on William Penn and the founding of Pennsylvania. Oakley made sure that Penn's ideals of justice and peace could be seen throughout her work. In 1906, she completed 13 murals titled The Founding of the State of Liberty Spiritual and was placed in sequential order around the governor's reception room. These murals were some of the first to be installed in the Capitol. When Edwin Austin Abbey, another artist for the Capitol, died in 1911, Oakley was offered another opportunity to create murals for the unfinished Senate and Supreme Court chambers. Her work on the Senate murals, including International Understanding, was completed by 1919. Oakley then completed the Supreme Court murals, including the Divine Law, by 1927. Oakley is said to be the principal artist for the Capitol, with a total of 43 murals on display. She remains one of the greatest muralists in the United States. Now you know.
Welcome back to the Legislative Report. I'm Kate Harper of the 61st District in Montgomery County, and today I'm discussing opportunities for a reliable, affordable transportation system available to you right in Montgomery County through TransNet. Seniors and the disabled are subsidized on this transportation system through the lottery, and it's available to you whether you want to go to the hairdresser or the doctor, or even if you have to get to work. And it's very helpful for people who can't drive in the burbs. So my guest is Sue Kopystecki, and thank you for coming in again, Susan.
Thank you.
I want to talk about why TransNet's good for the environment.
Well, the idea of sharing a ride, the Senior Citizen Shared Ride Program, we're grouping consumers together with common origins and common destinations. So it's reducing the amount of
Single occupancy vehicles on the road, or even double occupancy vehicles on the road.
Correct.
And it's putting people in an efficient system that gets them where they need to be, and they're together.
Yes.
So you have one vehicle instead of a dozen.
Correct.
So that's good.
It's very good. And our scheduling software, the EcoLane software, schedules efficiently. But the other piece of that is that TransNet has 6 partner companies, transportation companies, They're highly experienced in small vehicle transportation, and they're providing the services for Montgomery County, for our
So you
area.
said you had 300 vehicles, but you actually don't own any of them, right?
We own some,
Okay.
and lease some to our partner companies, but they're operating the vehicles on a daily basis. They have 6 garages throughout the county, so they're decentralized throughout the county.
So you can cover Limerick and Bluebell.
Correct. It makes it's very efficient to handle it that way. So they're handling services. As far as sustainability, TransNet has taken some initiatives in the recent years. In 2013, we received a grant. We were awarded a grant through the Department of Environmental Protection to assist us in converting some of our minibuses to CNG. So we've added
natural gas.
compressed natural gas. So we've added, at this point we have 15 in our fleet.
Okay, and that's cleaner burning than gasoline.
Correct, it is.
Better for the air.
Better for the air. For the operation of those vehicles, we've reduced our CO2 by about 42%.
Okay, so what's that phone number again, and what's that website? We want people to know how to get in touch with you.
Our phone number is 215-542-RIDE, R-I-D-E, and our website is www.suburbantransit.org.
All right, now you're located in Bluebell,
We are. We're
Right.
centrally located in Montgomery County.
but you do rides all over Montgomery County.
We serve the entire county and surrounding areas. We do some transportation from Montgomery County into Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Philadelphia.
So if somebody's eye doctor's in Chestnut Hill, you can handle it?
We can. It is determined by local service area. So people can travel within their local area, and sometimes that local area will take them over the county border, basically.
All right, now one of the issues people have is their personal safety. Who are these drivers? Do you do anything to make sure the drivers are okay?
We do. TransNet actually, for our partner companies, we actually do all of the driver training, and we have minimum requirements for driver screening. All of the drivers we receive MVRs, motor vehicle records.
So you make sure they're good drivers?
Make sure that they don't have any violations, and that they have a good driver's license. We do pre-employment drug and alcohol screening. We obtain criminal records, and our drivers are also receive the FBI fingerprinting for background. And the drivers also must meet the requirements of a DOT physical.
A Department of Transportation physical.
Correct.
So a person who is using your services because they can't drive, perhaps they're older or they're frail or they have, I don't know, maybe some kind of a seizure condition or something else that prevents them from driving, they can feel comfortable that the driver you send is a decent human being with a good driving record.
Absolutely. We screen, and as far as training is concerned, our drivers all receive a very comprehensive training program, which includes defensive driving, it includes first aid and CPR, passenger assistance, disability awareness.
You say passenger assistance. Suppose I can walk a little bit, but climbing into a bus is going to be hard for me. How does that work?
The driver will always be there to help you.
Okay, good.
Yes. And for consumers, we have approximately 50% of our minibuses are equipped with wheelchair lifts as well.
So even if you're in a wheelchair, you would specify that, I guess, when you make your reservation?
Yes. And well, actually, when you register for the service,
Okay.
it would be in your client file, and we would know what type of vehicle we can send for you.
Okay, so that would be part of that great computer system you have that would
It is.
get the right vehicle to the right person at the right time.
Absolutely.
All right, now, if you had a mother living in Montgomery County who couldn't drive anymore or didn't want to drive anymore, would you use TransNet?
Absolutely. And I have.
You have? Good
And
for
I have.
you. Okay. Great. And it's easy to get in touch with you. So the first thing you do is you register,
Correct.
and that can be online. Suppose you're not computer savvy. Is there another way to register?
You would call our office, the 215-542-RIDE,
Okay.
and our phone system will walk you right through the process.
All right. So we talked a lot about people who were seniors or disabled. Any other universe of people you serve at TransNet?
We provide transportation for intellectually disabled consumers to vocational training centers each day. We do a lot
They're
of
physically okay, but they might have other limitations.
correct. We provide transportation for special needs school students through the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit and other school districts in Montgomery County. And we also do shuttle transportation for corporate centers, colleges, individual businesses, getting their employees or students from public transit to that last bit from public transit to the office or to the college.
Oh, the last mile ride, as they
Yes.
call it sometimes,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because we have trains, and they're great, but they stop at a certain location, then you're on your own.
Right, right. So we provide shuttle services. We develop shuttle
To
services.
businesses, campuses, like off of Union Meeting Road?
Yes, as a matter of fact, colleges, and yeah. So,
Okay. So that's great, and I think if you're a computer savvy person, you have a website?
we do. It's www.suburbantransit.org.
Okay. And if you have a phone number, it's?
It's 215-542-RIDE, RIDE.
Okay. Are there any limitations? What are things you can't do?
We don't travel outside of the state. We travel within Pennsylvania
Okay.
only.
That's probably your license, right?
It is. We're regulated by the Public Utility Commission, Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission.
Okay, and who serves on your board?
Our board, we have 12.
Oh, can I plug my office manager, Kathy Rush?
Yes. Yes, Kathy. We have 12 board members, and 3 of our board members are appointed by the Montgomery County Commissioners. It's a very diverse board. We have Kathy, we have our partners.
Some of your bus company people.
Correct. We have an insurance agent, banking, software. We have a very diverse, great board of directors.
And your board serves without pay because they try to keep you in touch with your community, right?
Correct.
Good
It's
to
a
hear.
voluntary board.
And
Yes.
we thank them for their service. That's all the time we have for today's program. I'm State Representative Kate Harper. My guest today is Sue Kopystecki. Sorry about that, Sue.
Okay.
If you need assistance with any state government matter, feel free to contact me at my local office. The address and phone number will be shown in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Join me again for Legislative Report.